This is the HEDD D1, and it might just be one of the best headphones I've reviewed in a really long time, but there's two major flaws. Let's talk about it. So, if you've already seen reviews of the D1, you'll notice this one looks a little bit different. That's because I put a capper strap on it. This is not the officially supported capper strap. This is one I had laying around here. I've bugged Capper to make a strap for it, so if he has one at the time of this video being published, I will link it down in the video description. If not, you should bug him about making one, because first thing we're going to talk about is ergonomics. And it's this. This is the top headband for it, and I removed it. Why? Because this is like 1 millimeter or 2 millimeters in the middle before you hit hard plastic, and it just doesn't work for me. The rest of this, the foam is thicker, but it is really, really hard. I cannot do this headband at all. I like that there's a divot, but I think the divot is a bit too wide, and it's just not padded enough, and the foam is just too hard. So I put a capper strap on there, and that takes this headphone from a 15-minute wear at max to like a 2-hour wear at max. This dramatically improves the comfort for me, and I hope Capper makes a supporting strap. Moving on from that, there are plenty of things that make this very different from anything HEDD has made headphone-wise in the past. First off, this has a custom dynamic driver in it. It is way lighter than anything else they've produced, has a nice, simple, clicky mechanism on the side for adjusting up and down. These pads snap off. Probably not gonna be able to put your own aftermarket pads on there unless you can find ones that fit these rings. And you can see that custom driver right here. And behind the strap I put on, made in Germany. Now again, the stock configuration, this does not have a strap. Normally it just has this piece up on top. I took this off, I put this strap on. It does not come like this. I just hate this thing. The pads are pretty comfortable. They could do with just a touch more vertical space in my opinion, but they are about 45 millimeters wide, about 60 millimeters tall. On the back end, these are about 33 millimeters deep, and on the front end, these are about 25 millimeters deep. Still a reasonably spacious ear cup, though when this compresses on my head, sometimes my ears do touch this driver. It's not a super abrasive surface, but that has happened a couple of times. Something like the protective foams that the HD600 uses would do well in here, and that would be my recommendation for an improvement on the ears touching the inside of the cups. If anything, even just to act as a dust protector for the headphone. Speaking of foam in front of the driver, I also recently filmed a video going over as many HD6XX pads, 600, 650, as I possibly could and measuring them all. You can check that out at the link in the video description, under some other stuff. Moving on, one thing I do like a lot about HEDD is you can see pretty much everywhere on here connections for fasteners all over the place. Fasteners, fasteners, fasteners. Even for our little clicky mechanism here inside the headband when you take this off. There's just fasteners everywhere. And that's because this is a headphone you can repair. Maybe with today's video sponsor, LTTstore.com. Yeah, they're actually doing a sponsor spot. And it's for this, the precision screwdriver. Look, this thing just keeps spinning. I have to pull up information. They're doing a sale. I have to find it. From November 27th to December 2nd, you can get the precision screwdriver, the bit set, and the tech sack all as a package deal for $99 instead of $139.98, which is what it was previously. And if you spend more than $100 before tax and shipping, you get your shipping for free. I genuinely have been using this precision screwdriver kit for everything. Before this, I was using my LTTstore.com full-size screwdriver, and look, they come with a bit so you can adapt your precision screwdriver bits over onto the big boy screwdriver. Check them out at the link down below. Continuing, if you recall, I did a video on the headphone show sometime earlier this year that was a repair audit, and in that, HEDD did really well. I told them that I broke the headband on their Headphone 2 GT, and they basically were like, hey, we'll send you another one. Here's instructions on how to fix it. I can definitely offer to send the headband for DIY replacement. Here's a video for the process. Replacement with a YouTube link. I love that. These guys get it. They straight up get it. They want you to be able to repair your things and not just plugging the screwdriver set. If you have a screwdriver set like this, you can take apart this whole headphone. I grabbed the wrong bit. It's this bit. This fits right there. I grabbed the wrong bit again. Is it this one? It's this bit. This is the bit. Every single part on this can easily be replaced, and I love that. Something else HEDD does well on the build is their cables, funny enough. No, they do not make a difference in sound quality, but they are very soft, very supple cables. Look at that. Floppy. These are great. I like the cables they include with their products. It's like the polar opposite of a Hyphaman cable or a Focal cable. And by that I mean actually good. Now let's talk about sound. I'm going to tell you how I feel about it, and then I'm going to show you guys the measurements. And there's actually something interesting you're going to notice when we get to measurements. My initial impression of this headphone was that it's super balanced in the mids and bass, and that there is something bright going on in the treble. Other than that, it sounds really, really neutral. Timbre is good, not quite the same as the HEDD 600 series that a lot of people have been comparing it to, but significantly better than the Focals and Mezzes and other things like that in the same price range. This thing is a beast, but it's not perfect. So we had our one flaw in the ergo, but in the sound, my problem always came back to the same thing, and it's treble. And that's where this comes in. We're going to talk about this later, but this is what fixed the sound for me and what made this headphone sound just about perfect. Some of you probably know where this is going, but this is like a couple of cents worth of resistors and maybe like $1 or less worth of 3.5mm connectors. Let's run through a few tracks that I liked on this headphone, especially after my little pending modification I'm going to talk about in a little bit. Just know that with any of these tracks, they leaned a bit brighter until I started using this, and then they started sounding just about perfect. Ignored by Boca Yelt. I think I pronounced that right. Super gritty guitar, thick sound, very distorted, gritty, kind of grungy microphone. Love this track for that. Special Mercury, this is the studio live version of it. I think this was live at Blackbird Studios, something like that. Drums in the room sound super cool. The vocals, really, really intimate. Electro Voice RE20, fantastic dynamic microphone. Wet Legs CPR, punchy kick, kind of brighter vocal timbre overall. It's kind of a busy, anxious track. Hammer, Hannah Vu, or Hannah Vu, I don't know how you pronounce it. I just love this song in general. The vocal timbre is, again, a little bit brighter on this track. It's got a solid kick, just unique vocal sound overall. Really, really well put together, very full sounding. Another Space song, Failure. Kinda warm, kinda gritty, really full guitar, really good bass guitar sound too. Somewhere between intimate, but not too intimate. Bittersweet Tennessee, this track actually has decent soundstage, and the soundstage goes sort of back and forth on this. There's some tracks where it's really, really intimate, and there's some tracks where it starts to sound spacious. That's the same thing that the HEDD 600 does, but I think the 600 is more intimate than these headphones are. Not saying that these are very stagey, but they're not quite as intimate as an HEDD 600 is. It's somewhere right in the middle. Love is Selfish, Jack White. This is a song that was actually recorded, I believe, on tape, and it just sounds good. It sounds like you were using these headphones as a monitor plugged into a control board when they're recording it. In fact, that's what it sounds like with a lot of tracks, is like you're using this as a monitoring headphone in a control room while music is being recorded. And that is kind of in line with what HEDD is known for. They make studio monitors, the speakers I'm talking about. And with that said, I think we should probably talk about the actual frequency response. Here is the HPTF, so a variation of how the headphone might perform from person to person. See, we have pretty solid bass extension, especially for an open back dynamic, and that implies that one of two things is happening. Either they have a passive analog electrical filter in here, or this is a driver with a very low F0, so it is able to resonate a very low frequency and get that sort of bass lift and maintain its sub bass with pretty low acoustic impedance. And low acoustic impedance this headphone does seem to have, partially as a result of the ear pads that it's using, but just the design in general is pretty reasonably low acoustic impedance, because we're seeing pretty good consistency throughout the bass and the mid-range on both the microphone and a real human ear and on the Brulin Care 4128C. Though as we get up to the treble, we start to see a bit more variance. Around 5.5 kilohertz, I have a notable peak that I hear when I'm doing a sweep on these headphones, and then a dip right after that. Then the headphones start to kind of converge again between rigs. Now, I'm sure you can tell this is a pretty ding-dang neutral headphone aside from that peak, which again, that peak is something that you can see here you may or may not experience. It's pretty much like slightly warm bass, slightly warm lower mids, and then just diffuse field after that. It's a really good studio headphone, all depending on if you experience that peak or not. And here's where we get to the solution. This is the impedance curve. This is an open back dynamic headphone. And as you can see here, they're not using a passive analog electrical filter in here. Instead, this is just a driver with a low F0, around 70 to 80 hertz. And what can you do with this? Well, since it's bouncing between 36-ish ohms and about 47 ohms, this is a homemade impedance adapter. You can also get these on the internet. This one's 150 ohms. And you know what it does? Well, it increases that bump we see in the low end on this impedance curve. It also lowers the frequency response a little bit, around 5 kilohertz, and then increases the upper treble a little bit. The upper treble thing is going to vary depending on head-to-head. This is the headphone on the B&K 4128C in just one position, not moving it, so measuring it, and then plugging in the impedance adapter and measuring it again. And what do we see? We see a little bit more sub-bass, a little bit more bass, and we see a decrease between that like 5 to 8 kilohertz range. This makes the headphone sound just about perfect to me. Granted, I could still do with a little bit of a reduction at 5 kilohertz for me personally, but this is a really cheap fix that does some incredible things. And those are the two problems. Something that you may or may not be able to live with. If you are able to put on a capper strap, or if you're okay with this stiff, harder top band, and if you are willing to either just get a 150 ohm or higher impedance adapter online for like next to nothing, or build one for next to nothing, or you could just use this with a tube amp, anything with a 150 ohm or higher output impedance like a dark voice, then you are using a headphone that I would consider truly excellent. But without these two changes, using both the stock headband padding and without either an impedance adapter or an OTL tube amp, I just don't like it nearly as much. This goes back and forth between a not recommend in the stock configuration or a very strong recommend if you're willing to make some small changes. Though in both configurations, I would say this is still a notably better headphone than a lot of the things in its price range. And I am impressed with the jump HEDD has made from generation to generation with their headphones. So tell me what you think. Is this worth it to you? I mean, if you already have a tube amp, you're probably set. And I want to answer that one big question. Is this the direct upgrade from the HEDD 600, 6XX, 650, and so on? I'm really not certain. In some ways, yes. It does do intimacy in a similar way. It does have better bass extension. It does have better treble extension. In the stock configuration, I feel like it's just a little bit too trebly to be the direct upgrade from either of those headphones, because it's just different. There are ways in which it is similar. There's ways in which you could say it's related, but it's just different. This is its own headphone. And if you like the HEDD 600 and 650, and again, you're using this on like a tube amp, you'll probably also like this headphone. In terms of this being an absolute beast for tube lovers like the 600 and 650, yes, this is the very clear next step, especially if you're using OTL tube amps. And in the sense that, like the 600 and the 650, you have good repairability. But from there, I leave this up to you. And before this video ends, I want to take a look at this driver. This, by the way, has a magnetic parts tray. Okay, that is actually pretty cool. Look at that beauty. I think it's about time we wrap this video up. What do you think? Again, thank you LTTstore.com for sponsoring this video. You can get the precision screwdriver, the bit set, which I'm getting a ton of use out of, and the tech sack, all for $99. And again, if you spend $100 before tax and all that jazz, you get free shipping. Not only have I used this screwdriver an absolute ton already before filming this bit, I also use it as a fidget spinner, because this thing just spins and spins and spins. If I let this go for the rest of the video, this video would be like 3 minutes longer. So I'm not. Again, this is at the link in the video description. If you want early access to my videos and you want to help support the channel, you can on Floatplane at the link in the video description, or on Patreon. Both of those will also get you access to playlists that I have public on Tidal. Just a lot of the test tracks and other music I like. Other than that, if you like this video, leave a like down below, a comment letting me know what you want to see in the future, and as always, don't forget to stick around and subscribe for more videos like this. Till next one, guys. Peace.